Good morning. For Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. Tuesday, Israeli and Palestinian leaders reached a long-term ceasefire agreement in Cairo, Egypt. It comes after Israel's Operation Protective Edge left over 2,100 people dead and over 500,000 Gazans internally displaced. The agreement includes the following provisions. Israel agrees to extend the fishing limit off Gaza's coast from 3 miles to 6. Israel will open more of its border crossings with Gaza, allowing the easier flow of goods to the Strip. In a separate bilateral agreement, Egypt will agree to open its 14-kilometer border with Gaza at Rafah. Several other issues have yet to be discussed between the two sides. Those include the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners arrested in the West Bank after the abduction and killing of 3 Jewish seminary students. Hamas has demanded that a seaport be built in Gaza, which would allow the ferrying of people in and out of the enclave. Israel has continually rejected those plans. Palestinians have also asked for the Yasser Airport in Gaza to be rebuilt. The airport closed after it was damaged following Israeli attacks in 2000. Russian and Ukrainian leaders met in Belarus on Tuesday in an attempt to find a political compromise to the conflict in eastern Ukraine. Though they agreed on the need to de-escalate the conflict, significant differences remain, according to the Belarusian president. In eastern Ukraine, separatists continue fighting government troops for autonomy. Moscow and Kiev will resume talks on energy issues in September as concerns grow about gas delivery to Ukraine from Russia. Ukraine receives 50% of its gas from Russia, and 15% of Europe's gas passes through Ukraine from Russia. United States officials have announced that the U.S. will not work with Syrian officials and President Bashar al-Assad in the fight against the Islamic State, formerly known as ISIS. The White House also made it clear that it is considering airstrikes in Syria, although a formal decision has not been reached. The U.S. continues conducting surveillance flights over the region. The Syrian foreign minister says that any unilateral attack on Syrian soil would be considered a violation of the sovereignty of Syria. He also notes that a multilateral approach to fighting the Islamic State would be welcomed. To Latin America, Tuesday, Peruvian authorities seized at least 3.3 tons of cocaine bound for Belgium and Spain. It marks one of the largest busts this year and the largest in Peru. The drugs were found in a seemingly abandoned home in the countryside this morning in the coastal district of Tracuyo, near one of the country's most visited beach destinations. Police arrested 2 Mexicans and 5 Peruvians when they confiscated the drugs and say they believe a Mexican drug cartel is behind the operation. Tuesday, Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto finishes his official 2-day visit to the United States and to the state of California. He met with the state's governor, Jerry Brown, and discussed topics ranging from migration to commerce to energy. Peña Nieto says that the state of California has improved the life of undocumented immigrants living there, but that it must be an example for other U.S. states as well. Peña Nieto stressed the importance of immigration reform in the U.S. to help the 11 million immigrants living in the country, which he said would bring justice for those who make a huge contribution to U.S. society. Tuesday, Brazilians gathered around TV and radio sets to watch the first presidential debate ahead of the October elections. 7 out of the 11 candidates participated. Candidates discussed health, education, employment, and economy issues. Current President Dilma Rousseff insisted in the need of fostering education as a key factor in developing the country. She also defended her ties with Latin America and responded to critiques to the More Doctors plan. That measure includes 11,000 Cuban healthcare professionals working in Brazil. Marina Silva, Rousseff's closest competitor, says that her political organization already has a government program which is focused on the strategic needs of the country. The Honduran government has announced budget cuts for two of the principal public hospitals in the country, as well as $35 million for reduction for the next year of the National Health System's general budget. Here's our Central America correspondent, Gerardo Torres.
Doctors, nurses, patients, and health students in Tegucigalpa and San Pedro Sula went out on the streets to protest against the government's decision to cut $35 million from the next year's general health system budget.
Imagínense si ya con el presupuesto actual tenemos crisis, con una reducción.
Imagine that with the current budget we will already have a crisis. A reduction of the budget will bring a bigger crisis. Now patients have to buy everything they need for their medical attention. With these cuts, they are assuring a catastrophe for the Honduran people.
Probablemente todo, ¿verdad? Y en este caso creo que va a ser una catástrofe para los hondureños.
Honduras is already the country that annually spends the least on health per each citizen in Central America. $200, less than Belize, which spends $350 each year, and far from Costa Rica, that spends $1,000 annually per each citizen.
El gobierno sigue invirtiendo en armas y en seguridad.
The government keeps on investing in weapons, and they keep reducing the budgets of health and education. The government has no answer to explain the reduction of the budget.
Recortando el presupuesto de salud y el presupuesto de educación en todo caso.
This year, the government reduced the budgets of the country's main hospitals, shutting down offices like the Center for Diabetes Patients. The affected patients also joined the protest.
We are asking for proper medical attention, but the minister isn't helping us because she let go all of the doctors that were helping us, and now we don't receive any medicines.
In the best cases, Honduran hospitals have less than 40% of what they need to operate, with most health centers having less than 20% of what they need. The government hasn't presented clear arguments on the reasons of the reduction or the options they will offer to the population. Gerardo Torres, Telesur, Central America.
And thanks again to Gerardo. Heavy flooding has devastated Bangladesh in recent days, with 500,000 people now left homeless. Bangladeshi officials warned on Tuesday that the situation could worsen as rain continues and the floodwater hits the capital, Dhaka. No deaths have been reported yet. The rains have also affected neighboring India, where floods in the Himalayas have hit over 1,000 villages and left at least 28 people dead. In 2007, floods killed over 1,000 people in Bangladesh. Senegal's under-19 rugby team will participate in the African Championships. It marks a reversal of a decision by Ugandan officials to ban the team due to the Ebola outbreak. Hospitals have not reported any cases of Ebola in Senegal, but neighboring Guinea has been hit hard. Senegalese officials say the players have been screened and are free of the virus. It comes after 3 teenagers from the Ebola-affected West Africa region were banned from competing in the Youth Olympics. Sierra Leone has withdrawn from the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. The Ebola outbreak has claimed over 1,300 lives. On a lighter note, a team of divers in Burma have reportedly found the legendary Dam Azadi bell, believed to be one of the largest ever cast. According to legend, the bell sunk without a trace after being stolen by a Portuguese mercenary in the 1600s. The bell weighs the same as a Boeing 777 and is made of bronze. There is skepticism, however, that the amateur divers who used only plastic hoses and goggles have actually located that lost treasure. More on those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Weddle. Hope you have a great day.